So we're here at SPIEL 2015. I'm with Helio, and Helio is going to present his new sci-fi RPG, Faith. Hello, Helio.
Hello, Janine. Thanks for having me. So, Faith is a science fiction RPG, and it uses cards instead of dice. It uses cards for everything. It resolves actions with cards. Each player has a player deck that he can use whenever he's confronted, and he will play a card or more than one card from his hand of 7 cards. And his opponent will also play cards. Whoever gets the highest result succeeds, and the opposing party fails. And that's as simple as it gets. If the game master wants for an accident to happen or to represent bad luck, he will also need to play bad cards, cards from his hand. So it's a little of a give and take. If you really want to do something, you can save your good cards for that moment and then play them and get away with it. However, the game master has all the jokers from all the players, and what these jokers do is they nullify a card that has just been played by a player. So it's a bit of a balance. And everything else in the game also comes in cards, like your gear. It comes in cards with all the stats, all the, for example, the firewall or the damage in the weapons, the magazine, and the characteristics are described on the back. What we wanted to achieve with this was to put the art on the table to help the players stay immersed in the story and to help them remember the rules so they don't have to flick through the rulebook. It's a very simple game, very straightforward, but the mechanics are complex enough to recreate an interesting story. Also, like the gear cards, equipment cards, we also have non-player character cards that you can use to create encounters for the players. And they also have all the stats that you need to know and all the skills on the back, and even a bit of flavor text. And the setting of Faith tells the story of a power struggle between the Ithcal and the Corvo. There are 2 very powerful alien species. The Corvo are a very technological, very capitalistic species that lives in huge space stations that they build around stars in Dyson rings, and their world is run by mega corporations. Pretty much every Corvo works for one of these corporations. Whereas on the other hand, the Ithcal live in close-knit communities. They are very social, and they have a hyperlink, which is a way of telepathy that allows them to fuse their personalities and be as one. Because they are so different, they cannot make peace. They are always in conflict. However, they are powerful enough to know the dire consequences of an open war. So they are in a power struggle with sabotage and black ops and political agitation, but they never go into open war. Humanity is caught in between this struggle, and they are used as bounty hunters, mercenaries, and soldiers because they are more physically fit than the other species. There's a 4th civilized species, who are the Rag, very primitive, very feral, but very strong. And they live in ice fortresses that roam around space, and they are socially structured in different clans. And finally, there's a 5th species that you can play as, who are the Ravager. And what the Ravager are is mutants that can absorb the DNA information from every species they come in contact with. So you can actually be a mutant and basically look however you want. You can be a mutant that looks like a human and maybe infiltrate a group of players and set up a plan to eat them all up. Or they are the enemies of civilization. They are a common enemy. The few times when the Corvo and the Ithcal make peace and join forces is to fight off a huge Ravager fleet, for example. So that's pretty much the setting of the game. The universe is interconnected by the labyrinth, which is a gigantic web of wormholes, and many of its exits are still unexplored, and the Corvo and the Ithcal are struggling to control as many exits as they can and to found as many colonies as they can. So this is a game about exploration, finding new worlds and traveling
That sounds very interesting, especially considering that there are not very much sci-fi RPGs out there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, and I hope you have success with your game.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.